Right, hello guys, watching Good Up 2, and today we're going to do Series 3 review. We've ranked Series 1 of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and we've ranked Series 2 of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Now, today we're doing Series 3 of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and then next week we do Series 4 and Series 5. So yes, let's get on to it. Let's start with number 1. Episode 1 is Prisoner of the Shadoon. This is a really good one. I really enjoy it. It's so much fun. It's just, you don't take it seriously. You've got a Shadoon crash land into Earth. He's not meant to be on Earth. He's crash landing. A prisoner escapes from an escape pod, and then Shadoon's basically after his prisoner, and the prisoner can basically turn into other people. And I really like that idea. I love shapeshifters. I love the way people can... monsters can imitate humans and trick people, and they do that, and it goes to the main character. Sarah Jane gets her body taken over by the prisoner, and the prisoner is absolutely awesome. He really is. The way he performs, but also when Sarah Jane takes over, Elizabeth Sladen playing evil is amazing. It is brilliant. It's top tier, and I guarantee Sarah Jane Elizabeth Sladen loved playing an evil version of Sarah Jane, you might say. Yeah, as you can tell as well, Luke and is very on it to try and get his mom back, and they also have the Shadoon. The way the rules are different with the Shadoon, and they will instantly execute you. They don't take any of that. And there's a lovely scene of the Shadoon stealing a police car, and this guy is listening to music going and then looks over and sees a Shadoon and says, "Turn off language." No, turn off music or whatever. And you're like, okay, turn it off, and then drive off quickly before he has to deal with that. And the police run away from the Shadoon as well. It's hilarious. Just there's so many funny comedic stuff, but it's also so interesting. You also have these nanogenes, these nanobots that are so tiny that they are basically building stuff and made for creation, which originally Sarah Jane was investigating, and then they kicked her out. So then she sends Geeta and the mom and dad to just Rani's mom and dad to annoy them and say, "Oh, check these out. These can do some flowers." Didn't know that she would put Rani's mom and dad in danger, because that's where it all kicks off. We've got also a cliffhanger. I'm not sure what the cliffhanger was now. Oh yes, it was Mr. Smith self-destructing. That was interesting as well. Mr. Smith could suss out Sarah Jane's acting weird, but he has to command and do what she says. And Luke talking Mr. Smith not to self-destruct in a way as well is interesting. So yeah, we have that dynamic. And then we also have more Shadoon on the arrival. Luke, Clyde and Rani have to get rid of the Shadoon, because if he captures Sarah Jane, he's going to take Sarah Jane as well as the prisoner, while the prisoner's using Sarah Jane's body. And eventually we manage to get these nanogenes build a ship, but also these nanogenes are sent to destroy Earth. So Clyde and Rani have to sort of freeze the nanogenes, them sussing it out. I like that they're actually doing it, they're not relying on others. So yeah, it's a really good story. And they Shadoon get their prisoner, Sarah Jane's safe, and the kids have saved the day. And yeah, Geeta and the dad have seen aliens, and no one's going to believe them. All on a day's work of Bannerman Road. 10 out of 10, this story. Next up we have the old lady, the mad old lady of Bannerman Road. Is set in the year 2059, so I would be 59. Wow, and Rani's an old lady. Basically, we see this boy come and visit her, then she starts the tale of how she got to this point, and we see flashbacks back to the gang loving Maria more, that jealousy strike you kind of get with Doctor Who with Rose and Martha. Martha's always jealous when Rose gets mentioned. Rani's kind of jealous when Maria's get mentioned. She feels like she's second best to that material, and she can't live up to the legendary Maria, you could say. But really, it's just everyone missing Maria because she's not actually that. But yeah, so basically that upsets Rani, and Rani gets an investigation call off an old friend who she hasn't heard in a while, and he sends her to a theme park where she used to live, and she goes investigating on her own, causing danger and problems there. She sees that basically there's this demon that's controlling the park and people are getting took, and yeah, it's playtime, and Rani has to try and save the day, and Sarah Jane knows something's up, so the gang go and head off there. And yeah, eventually the kid stays with the alien demon and eventually falls in love, because there's a plot twist that the boy that came to visit Rani as an old woman in 2059 was actually the demon and the boy's kid. So they had a kid together and they gave her another chance. Now the problem is they managed to save the day. They managed to get the kid, the demon kid, back in the ship and safe and made to fly off. But Rani had a wish, and later on she mentioned, "Oh, I wish Sarah Jane and the guy in the gang could leave me alone." She didn't mean it. She was just angry, but the ship didn't understand that, so it sent them all back and got them teleported away and just gone. So Rani was on her own, and Sarah Jane and the gang were just gone because she got a wish and she didn't want that wish. And in the year 2059, the boy understood that and tried to tell Rani, make another wish, make sure it didn't happen, and the whole thing gets reversed. We also get flashes to Luke's celebrating his university or something like that, and we also get Rani as an old woman, and she hopes she doesn't become that, and she won't, because then we get a flashback to how it will be now, and she still gets the attic, she still lives in Sarah Jane's house, but she has a family, and seeing Maria and Luke is an interesting one as well. Yeah, the Sarah Jane gang are back to normal when Sarah Jane sees the Doctor is coming. 6 out of 10, weren't my favourite story. Yeah, next up we have the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. So this story is about Sarah Jane falling in love with a guy and keep visiting. The gang's interested because she keeps sneaking off. Sarah Jane, what are you up to? And hearing this noise, which learns to be the TARDIS, and we're all at the wedding. The Brigadier's stuck in Peru. Actually, the actor was too ill to be in this, but he was meant to be in this story, so it's sad that we never got the Brigadier, the 10th Doctor, and Sarah Jane in the story. But yeah, I like the idea of that, and then we go on to the wedding being a trap. I love that idea, and it's such a brilliant one for me I think. And then yeah, we also get Sarah Jane being controlled by a wedding ring, which is interesting, a little bit like a damper from the Christmas special of a Doctor Who episode with Donna, the damper. I like that idea. Obviously it's the same writer who wrote that episode, so yeah, could be linked. Then we learn that the wedding is a trick. The trickster has arrived and everyone's got teleported. Sarah Jane and Peter Dalton, her husband to be, is set in one time, and then we have Clyde, Rani, Luke, K9, because Clyde didn't trust things, so he brought K9 along, and then we get the Doctor, and the Doctor interacts with the gang. I love that idea, and that just fun. It's just a fun and little references to the Doctor. I saw him, Rani, save the world. You help me save the world, Lukey boy. And then went on, and the TARDIS is actually shooting out energy that they use to defeat the trickster and electrocute him. Clyde says, "No, I can do it," and does that with the energy of the TARDIS. And then we go on to the Doctor trying to get in the TARDIS, but leaves the friends by accident. And there's a little verse, the trickster versus the Doctor, and I'd love the trickster to be in an actual Doctor Who show. It'd be so cool. It's a shame it won't happen, probably. But yeah, I would love it if the trickster was an actual villain. A bit more dark than what he is in the Sarah Jane Adventures would be cool as well. But yeah, it's a nice little thing that Doctor actually got to meet the trickster. Yeah, it's a brilliant story. And then Doctor warning Sarah, she knows what he has to do. And Peter ends the agreement for Sarah Jane, and Peter dies, the trickster's defeated, and everyone goes back to normal. And then Sarah Jane says goodbye to the 10th Doctor one last time in the TARDIS. It's a lovely little thing. It's a sad ending as well, because Sarah Jane has to leave a man, and the man just disappears like a stunt. 9 out of 10. Next up, the Eternity Trap. Need to keep my mind on track which episode this is. A for kids. Oh yes, this kid. So the dad has been taken by this magician, you could say, who actually played by Rassilon in the future. He plays Rassilon in Hellbent, which is an interesting one. The same magician. So he basically, Rassilon gets a bit angry and decides to take it out on the Doctor's companion. That's what I like to believe. Rassilon we're just calling the magician. The magician takes this kid, the kids away from the dad and makes sure he can't see him using a machine, which causes the dad on a hunt for his kids forever and ever. And he struck the magician down, breaking the machine and causing them to be sort of ghosts. And Sarah Jane learns that and tries to save the day. The professor's in this, who later appears in a lot more Sarah Jane adventures. I love her, she's brilliant. And yeah, it's just a little haunting around, really. There's not much to it. The machine obviously does it, and Sarah Jane destroys the machine when they eventually trick the magician and him stuck and destroyed and turned into electricity. And the dad gets to see his kids again as a ghosts, and they actually live in the house. Yeah, that's it. And there's a lot more people been taken as well, which was quite a creepy, eerie setting. This episode used to scare me as a kid, I think, but it doesn't anymore, obviously. 6 out of 10. Now we're on to the last 2 episodes now. We have the Mona Lisa. So yes, the Mona Lisa's gone mayhem. I don't think there's a real reason why Mona Lisa came to life. I think they explained it because she was close to her brother, which her brother is some insane painting that needs to come to life, so the Mona Lisa can destroy the earth and sort of thing like that. The Mona Lisa comes to life and she's bored of being a painting and basically causes mayhem in the museum, and people are evacuated. Clyde's won competition and the Mona Lisa took the gun and started chasing people and causing problems and bringing paintings to life and trapping people into paintings. Sarah Jane gets trapped in the painting, and Clyde has to draw K9 and K9 to shoot the Mona Lisa's brother, which is an interesting one to go down. And then we have this other actor who's quite a famous. There's got quite a few famous actors in this series of the Sarah Jane Adventures, and he was quite a popular character and actor. I've seen him in quite a lot of stuff. He was really good. Obviously, he loved the Mona Lisa, and when the woman got trapped in the painting, she gave him mayhem for saying he loved the Mona Lisa more. Yeah, it's just an interesting one. The Mona Lisa gets defeated, gets sent back into a painting, and so do all the others, and Sarah Jane gets out of the painting, and all the people are saved. And of course, I loved that. It felt like a normal family thing, because Sarah Jane was having an argument with Luke before this happened, so Luke was feeling guilty if that was the last thing she ever saw of him. Yeah, that was it. Whoa, I love the ideas of this, and it's a really good one. I gave it an 8 out of 10, but you know what, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to change my opinion on that. The last story now of Series 3 is The Gift. The rackweed are spreading across the world and basically poisoning people, and it poisons Luke, but it takes longer, creating Sarah Jane to notice something's up. Luke never normally gets ill, and people are dying instantly, well, getting really ill from the rackweed. Yeah, so then we have that dynamic, and then we also have the other dynamic of Slovene attacking Sarah Jane, but then the Rackarine, Slovene, I don't know, the other type of the Slovene, you could say, are basically evil and tricking Sarah Jane, saying they're good and they're all this and they're that. The Blaverine, that's it. The Blaverine are pretending to be good and all that, but they're all from the same planet. They're all from the same stuff. And yeah, so then we see that dynamic. And Sarah Jane threatening in a spaceship on the other end, ready to attack, and Clyde bringing K9 to cheat on a test is a lovely little thing that causes a lot of help later on with the school bell and Sarah Jane and Mr. Smith and K9 trying to make a noise to destroy the Blaverine. The rackweeds just get destroyed by noise, really loud sound effects, which later leaves the Blaverine to arrive on the in the attic and ready to slaughter the Sarah Jane Adventures gang, and the Blaverine get destroyed and blown up because they have eaten so much rackweed that when Mr. Smith uses the noise, it blows them all up. and Clyde is left to clean up the attic for cheating on his test. Yeah, I really enjoy it. There's also a lot of subtle hints now that the Rani actually kind of loves someone, and it might be Clyde. There's kind of love life thing seen. I'm starting to see little hints there, which is interesting. So yeah, this story gets a 8 out of 10, and that is that. This series I thought was a brilliant success. It's a step up with the episodes, a really good and interesting one. I'm going to give this series an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I've done a ranking of Series 1, Series 2, and now Series 3. Join me next week where we do Series 4. Thank you guys for watching. Don't comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video very soon. Let me know what you thought of the episodes in the comment section. And I'll see you guys for reviewing Series 4, Series 5, and then we're doing Classical August. So there's a lot more to come on the channel. Have a nice day.